Well, joining me now in West Jerusalem is Gidon Bromberg. He's the director of EcoPeace Middle East, an organization that brings together Jordanians, Palestinians and Israelis to cooperate over environmental protection. Gidon, good to have you on the Newsmakers. How precarious is Jordan's water situation?
Well, the situation for the region as a whole is precarious, and for Jordan in particular, since the influx of close to 2 million refugees from Syria into Jordan, the situation's clearly got much, much worse. And given climate change has hit Jordan and the rest of the region so harshly, much more than the IPCC models had predicted, we're seeing, we've seen over these last 20 years, 15 years of drought. There are few countries in the world that could handle such a terrible situation.
Right. And politically, so last November, Jordan requested more water from Israel and it cancelled a peace treaty annex. When we look at the politics of it all, and the Jordanians essentially saying the Israelis are siphoning off our water, is that true, and what does it mean?
So overall, much of the cooperation between Israel and Jordan has been actually based on water. There's been a long history of cooperation. Even before the peace treaty was signed between the two countries, Israel and Jordan were cooperating quietly behind closed doors in secret picnic meetings on the Yarmouk River to distribute water between them. I think that overall, the last, the 25 years of since the peace treaty, we have seen good cooperation over water. There is current tension between Israel and Jordan, in particular concerning the so-called canal or the Red Dead project. And here the idea is to build a desalination plant in Aqaba that would supply water for Jordan and perhaps sell water also to Israel. I think that it is critical that the desalination plant in Aqaba moves forward. There are concerns as to how to deal with the brine, but there's no question that Jordan needs its own desalination plant for its own internal water security issues. But regional cooperation is also desperately needed. There's no question that the cheapest source of additional water in the region today is desalination on the Mediterranean. And the comparative advantage of desalination lies on the Israeli and on the Gaza and on the Palestinian shores. And at EcoPeace, we've been promoting a concept of interdependencies where, in addition to the desalination that is needed in Aqaba, additional water supplies can come from Israeli and Palestinian sources of desalination on the Mediterranean. But in exchange, which is equally important, Israel and Palestine purchases green electricity, solar power from Jordan. So we create healthy interdependencies between our three peoples, between our three countries.
You said there's disagreement over what to do with the brine or the excess salt water when it comes to the Red Dead project. As far as I understand, the best thing to do is to pump it back into the Dead Sea so the Dead Sea doesn't die, right? What's controversial about that?
So there are environmental concerns that clearly EcoPeace has expressed about the mixing of the brine to the Dead Sea. The quantity doesn't really stabilize the Dead Sea anyway. And there's great cost. And I think what's stopping the movement of the brine at this time is the expense. There are other alternatives, and at EcoPeace, we just think that we should study the different alternatives. The brine could be evaporated in salt pans in the desert. The brine could be injected into the deep waters of the Gulf of Aqaba. There are three solutions on the table as far as we understand, and there needs to be further studies that show which alternatives are the most environmentally sound and most economically affordable. It's not the brine issue really that is the impediment. there is a need for a broader understanding here. There's a need for a deal.
Right.
And we at EcoPeace support a deal making on water and energy for the benefit of Jordan, Israel and Palestine together.
Right. Do politicians and others undervalue the importance of water as a potential trigger to make things worse? The region's hardly at peace. There's military occupation, there's death and destruction, and lots of tension. Is it undervalued?
Very much so. Water is still seen as a low-level political issue. When we talk about water security in our part of the world, we mostly are hearing how to protect water reservoirs or water facilities in a military perspective. With climate change impacting the region so heavily, at EcoPeace, we're trying to educate the public and broader decision makers that no side can go alone.
Gidon Bomberg, good to talk to you on the Newsmakers. Thanks for joining us.